pages. Some of you have joined me already on my YouTube live feeds where I've done some coloring page inking, and so you've probably seen this line up before. So this is already here. I have a bunch of micron pens, and I have some Sharpies that I use from time to time, and this is a couple staplers that I use from time to time. And then I have my Uniball Signo that I use for correcting my mistakes. And then I have some pencils that I use for drawing and sketching and for shading and that kind of thing. And then I have some rulers if I need them, and a few other things here. So, okay, and my husband has arrived with our guest, and he may not cooperate. This is our guest right here. This is my cat. Hey, who? This is my little kitty. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. This is Mishka. He is, how old is he, Steve?
8 years old.
He's 8 years old now, and he is a Siberian cat. Isn't he gorgeous? Let me pan out a little bit here so you can see how cute he is. Oh, he's just gonna get right down. Anyway, that was my kitty Mishka. Oh, Rose is like, what's going on? He's not allowed to be in here. So that was Mishka, and he is sort of our inspiration for today's coloring page. Anyway, our little kitty, one of his favorite things to do is to sit under the Christmas tree. And so this is the coloring page that I drew. Can you guys see it? Let's see if I come up a little closer maybe. So what it is little Mishka, one of his favorite things to do is when the Christmas tree is up is he goes underneath the Christmas tree when the lights are on, and I think it's nice and warm under there when the lights are on, and he just lays there and looks up at the lights, and he just loves it. And so I was looking through a whole bunch of really awesome pictures of vintage greeting cards, and I saw this amazing greeting card where it shows this little cat under the tree looking up, and the cat sees its reflection in a bulb, and I was like, oh, I have to do this because this is exactly what our little cat does. It sits under the tree and looks up at all the lights and everything. So that's what this coloring page is going to be. So I drew my own version of a cat and a bulb, but it's sort of inspired by that vintage Christmas card that I found online. So we're going to ink this up. I've already sketched it so you guys wouldn't have to sit here forever and barely see anything as I sketch. And now we're going to ink this. And so that's kind of my process. Usually I'll go do a whole bunch of researching till I find something that inspires me, and then I'll sketch it first. I usually sketch it using a really light pencil, like this is a 6H Derwent pencil. I do a ton of erasing. I make a ton of mistakes during this process and experiment a ton. If you've ever watched my YouTube videos, you see it's quite a hilarious process with lots of goofy mistakes and goofy looking. You should have seen this cat. It's had many versions with strange looking legs, and all kinds of things have happened to this poor little cat until it finally looks like a really darling little cat. And then I get to ink it, which is really fun because all of a sudden it starts looking like something that you guys might actually like to color. So that's where we're at right now, is the inking phase. Okay.
Carla says, so cute, can't wait to color it.
Okay, so I'm sort of freehanding the border here. I used to use a ruler to do these borders, but then I realized, I'm going to wait on the bottom just a second here. I realized that it made it look awkward to have a really strong straight line on the sides where everything else was so hand-drawn. So I've gone to doing everything hand-drawn. Unless I'm doing like a mandala where I'm using some rulers, then I'll use a ruler on the borders. And then I've noticed sometimes my husband will correct some of those things for me, which I love him for. Okay, this is the cat's little bow. Okay, there's her cute little bow. Usually what I do for inking is I kind of get everything blocked in, even with the sketches. The sketches are more about the shapes, and I throw in a few of the details to kind of remind myself what I had in mind as I was sketching. And then so I'll lay down most of the lines with the ink, and then I'll go through and I'll erase a bunch of the sketch lines to kind of get the distractions gone, and then I'll come back and add more details and some weight with the inking. So this part just kind of gets the shapes in so we can kind of see where we're at here. Now, as I was drawing our cute little cat, I wanted her to have some cute fur, and this is how I decided to draw it. And it had a lot of different variations, but I wanted it to actually have little bits of fur like this, so you guys could have a space to color. Now, if I was just drawing this cat just for my own pleasure, I would have drawn it differently. But because this is a coloring page, I have to think of it differently because I'm thinking of you guys as I go here.
How would it be different? How might it be different?
Well, if I was drawing it so that I could myself color it and skip you guys altogether, I would have just sketched, her general shape, and then I would have come in with colors and made her look fuzzy with the color pencil by myself and just ignored you guys altogether. But because I'm making her as a coloring page, I want to create a shape for you to color and spaces for you to fill, sort of inspire you guys. Oh, my paper moved. Hold on tight. Well, I'm quite pleased with how this turned out. Okay, now I didn't do the border down here because I kind of wanted the kitty's body to be the border. Like that. That'll give it a little interest, especially after you color it. You could even, when you color it, and when I shade it, it will have a little bit of shadow down here. So when you color it, you could even increase that shadow down below here, and that will give you even more of a cool effect and make the little kitty look like it's kind of popping out of the coloring page. So that'll be a neat way for you to color it if you want to make your kitty even stand out more. See, I'm always thinking about you guys all the time. Plus it's me too. I'm thinking, oh, when I color it, I want the kitty to really stand out. It's all about the kitty. I had a hard time deciding how to do this cat's face. So I kind of followed the way the vintage card did the face, and the reason I did was because I decided they drew it that way because when you do the reflection, the simpler the face, the better the reflection looked, and I really struggled with this reflection, and I'll explain that when I get up to the reflection. And the cat in the vintage card had sort of a sad face, but I wanted mine to have a happy face, so I turned my cat's face with a happy face. And then we have these cute little eyes looking up. And we're gonna switch to a cheaper pen to black in the iris so we don't ruin the tip of the micron pen. Now, I think if I'm remembering right, the greeting card had the nose blacked out, but I think I'm gonna leave the nose open so we can do it like a little pink nose, because I think Mishka has a pinkish nose. Doesn't Mishka have a pinkish nose? So I think I'm gonna leave the nose open so we can color our noses any color we want. And then I thought it'd be fun to be able to color the tip of the tail a different color, like that. Okay. The first whisker is always the scariest. So with the reflection, I originally had this really fancy bulb above the cat's head because I wanted it to be a fun bulb for you guys to color. It was a really neat shape and stuff. But every time I tried to draw the reflection of the cat's face, it looked really wrong. And it didn't look right to me until the bulb got to be an exact circle. I got my compass out and did an exact circle, and then the reflection looked right. So that's why we ended up with the bulb that we have here. So I'm just going to drop the reflection here, and I always get quiet when I'm concentrating. Figured in a reflection you only kind of see, especially in a bulb, you would only kind of see the details of the face like that. So I'm going to leave it like that for now and ponder if it needs more. And that looks really scary without coloring in the eyes here. So let me color in the eyes, then it won't look so spooky. Like a ghost looking down at our kitty. Okay, and then we have this evergreen. I'm going to bring this up closer so you can see. I went through several, I went through several versions of how to do the needles on the evergreen. And I finally came up with what I liked. And so I had originally thought I will draw the middle of it down first and then start, I think this is where I started. And then start the needles like this. Oh, no, this is where I started. And then I changed and thought we'll do it like this. And then I thought we'll do it like this. And so we're going to draw the middle of the branch last so that I'm going to attempt to make it look like there's needles on top of, you know, because the needles grow all around it. So we're going to see how this turns out. I don't want to make it too messy because then it's going to be hard to color. Because I want to keep it simple for you guys to color and add your own touches to it, whether it's gel pen or color pencil or whatever. So let's see how this works. Wish me luck. And we want them to be needly, so kind of a long triangle. And I always remind myself this is just a drawing. It doesn't have to look realistic. We're just going for something that makes the eye think of a pine tree. And then in drawing, I always have to remind myself that the eye is going to do a lot of the work for me. So if I can get you thinking of a pine tree, then that's half the work. But then I worry because when you sit down to color, each little needle, you will find and see every wobble of my hand. So that's what I worry about. So I'm trying to make some needles go behind, some needles on top. And I think I'm making this pine bough too messy. Maybe not. I should stop judging my work until I have more complete, right? I tell myself that every single time I do a coloring page, especially with the inking stage, and especially on something I'm not super confident with. I always doubt myself. Okay, so I'm going to keep working here as long as, see, that looks awkward. I might have to maybe draw on top somehow. The branch doesn't have anything on top of it, but it's not bad. Not bad. Okay, so what I'll do next is I'll keep sketching things in. Then I go in and I add more details and some weight, and then I go in with pencils and I shade, and then I soften the shading and I clean things up, and then we hand it over to Steve and he digitizes it and he does some more cleaning up, and then he'll upload it, and then it will be ready for you guys. I'm so excited because this one will be free for you guys. Yay for free coloring pages! I originally had this bow drawn way down here by this kitty's whiskers, but I don't think I want to compete with the kitty's whiskers. I think I'm going to keep the bow back here out of the whiskers. So I'm going to erase that just so I don't accidentally get pine needle crazy and start drawing them down there. I've been avoiding this bow because it's going to shoot straight through this ring, and I don't quite know how I'm going to do that to get the needles to look like they're going in and through and around that needle. And then I have this bow that I wanted to have sort of crossing the frame of the coloring page. I'm getting tired of drawing needles. Well, I am going insane, so we're going to go do something a little different here. So let's erase some lines and I'll show you what else I would do. And so the next step, saying if I was done with the bows up here, I come through and I erase all the pencil lines, kind of eliminates all this chaos so I can see what's going on. Alright, so then what I usually do is I come back in here with a little bit of a thicker pen, and I like to add, I call it, I've talked about this before, I don't know what the technical term is, but I call it weight into these little cracks. and it just gives a tiny bit of, I don't know, dimension to all these little lines. So I'll end up going back over the whole page and do this. And this also gives me a chance to fix any little mistakes as I go, or things I missed. And I'll come to this bell, for instance, and maybe add a few more details for you guys to color. It feels like it needs something along here. Maybe another line here. And it feels like it needs a circle there. And then this bow definitely needs some weight. Wish I knew if there was a technical term for that. Do you know, Steve? It's like a shadow. Like if you were to apply a shadow in Photoshop, you know. I'm going to make this line a little heavier so it kind of looks deeper. Well, I'm going to keep adding details and go back to the dreaded pine boughs and keep adding needles. And then I will go in and shade. Usually I just use a good old number 2 pencil to add the shading. And then once I've added some, I'll show you how I do that real quick. I just go in and I add a little pencil like this. And then I use my blending stump and soften that out to give it a nice little shadow. And I'll go around everything and shadow it the way I want it, and that helps give a little more dimension, and when you guys color on top of it, it gives it a cool effect. And then it'll be done, and then I hand it over to my husband and he gets to do his techie, high-techie magic to it. So thanks for joining me, you guys. Have a wonderful day, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye.